Hey everyone, today let's talk about a tool that can seriously transform the vital work you do in the social sector, public speaking. We're going to break down how you can really harness your voice to amplify your mission and create change that actually lasts. So let's dive right in. Just think about this for a second. What if the passion and the expertise you bring to your work every single day could reach beyond those one-on-one interactions? What if it could influence the people making decisions and rally entire communities around a cause? That's not just some far-off idea. It's the real potential that effective public speaking can unlock for you. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll get into the why this matters so much. Then, we'll tackle that all too common hurdle, anxiety. After that, we'll jump into the practical side of things, how to build and deliver a message that hits home. And finally, I'll point you towards some great resources to keep the momentum going. All right, let's kick things off with the big question. As a busy social work professional, why should you even bother investing your time in public speaking? Well, the answer is pretty simple, but it's also incredibly profound. It's how you turn your personal mission into a real public movement. See, your voice becomes this incredibly powerful lever for impact. You can raise awareness, taking really complex issues like mental health or systemic poverty, and making them understandable and urgent to policymakers and the public. And that directly fuels social change because it gets people on board. On top of all that, it builds your credibility, positioning you as an expert and opening up doors for partnerships you might never have gotten otherwise. Of course, just knowing how important it is doesn't suddenly make it easy. For so many of us, the biggest roadblock is just plain old anxiety. So let's face this challenge head on and talk about how to move from that place of fear to one of real confidence. And let's be super clear about something. If the thought of speaking in front of a group makes your heart race, you are definitely not alone. It is an incredibly common fear, even for people who've been in their field for years. Just recognizing that, well, that's the first step to managing it. So, how do you actually build that confidence? Well, number one, preparation is everything. The more you know your stuff and the more you rehearse, the more secure you're going to feel. Second, do not underestimate the power of your own breath. Seriously, a few simple, deep breaths before you go on stage can do wonders for calming your nerves. And finally, visualize success. Actually picture yourself giving a powerful, engaging speech. It's like a mental dress rehearsal that gets you ready for the real deal. Okay, once that anxiety is more manageable, we can really focus on the good stuff, your content. Crafting a message isn't some kind of magic, it's a process. And here's the blueprint for creating something that truly makes an impact. There are really three essential steps here. First, define your objective. What is the one thing, the single most important thing you want your audience to walk away with? Next, know your audience. Who are you talking to? Policymakers? Your peers? Community members? You've got to tailor your language and your examples to them. But this third point, this is the secret sauce. Tell human stories. Look, data and stats are important, but it's the personal stories, the case studies. That's what creates an emotional connection and makes your message stick. So you're prepared, you've got a killer message. The next piece of the puzzle is the delivery. This is all about turning what could be a monologue into a genuine connection with the people who are right there in the room with you. And how do you do that? Well, you've got to grab their attention right from the start with a strong hook. Use inclusive language, words like we and us to build a sense of shared purpose. And don't be afraid to ask questions to get them involved. Simple things like making genuine eye contact. Show your audience that you actually see them and you value them being there. And remember to stay on your toes. Be ready to adapt what you're doing based on how they're reacting. Mastering this skill is a journey. It's not a destination. So to help you along that path, let's look at some fantastic resources you can tap into to keep building your confidence and your impact long after you're done with this. For some real hands-on practice in a super supportive setting, organizations like Toastmasters International are just amazing. If you're more of a self-paced learner, online platforms like Coursera and Udemy have a ton of courses. And hey, never forget the value of feedback. Record yourself speaking, ask a trusted colleague or a mentor for their honest input, and just keep refining your approach. This slide right here illustrates a really crucial mindset shift. Don't just think of it as speaking to an audience. Think of it as building a network. It's not just about delivering your message and walking away. It's about creating chances for interaction during your talk and, this is key, following up afterwards to build those lasting professional relationships. To see the real-world power of all these ideas, we don't have to look any further than the history of social work itself. Let's take a look at the pioneer, Jane Addams. She's just a perfect example of how one person's voice can echo through history. Addams used public speaking as one of her main tools. She didn't just stand up and list facts. She told powerful human stories from her work at Hull House. Her informed speeches to policymakers and the public didn't just raise awareness about things like child labor and immigrant rights. They actually created the political will to make real, tangible changes in society. This quote really just says it all, doesn't it? Your entire job is about making an impact, advocating for change and inspiring people. Public speaking isn't some separate, scary thing. It's a powerful vehicle to do the work you're already doing. So, we'll end with this question for you. The expertise, the passion, the incredible stories, they're already there, inside you and your work. Your voice has immense power. The only question left is, how are you going to use it?